So today we're here with Katie from the Tameside and Glossop Early Attachment Service. Have I said that right? There
You
are
have? Yeah, yeah,
there
you
always
have.
seems to be extra bits that I miss from people's
Yeah.
names. And Katie's going to talk to us about early attachment with it being Infant Mental Health Week. Um, the first thing I wanted to ask you, Katie, was um, Dad Matters is a parent-infant mental health support service or
Yeah.
project. But a lot of people, when we say that, don't really know what that is. And infant mental health is at the core of that. Can you kind of explain what infant mental health is
I can have a go.
in a nutshell? Just to like not the whole concept, but just to kind of explain for our dads and our mums and
Yeah.
people out there.
So what we really mean by infant mental health is not I think often in the media we talk about mental health, and a lot of the time we're actually talking about when people are feeling unwell or being unwell. Um, we're not we're not talking about that so much with babies. We're talking about the way in which babies develop their minds through relationships and how they start to experience the world, and the way that kind of sets up an understanding of who they are and how relationships work and how the world works through their first relationship. So we are talking about how we enable babies to begin to have healthy relationships, both with their caregivers and with the world, and also kind of with themselves, so that they can get to know themselves, and that those things are really important for good mental health across the whole of the lifespan. So they're protective.
That's a really neat sentence. Nice little not even 5 minutes,
Great.
like 2 minutes. That was brilliant.
Did I do all right?
Yeah, and I think, that's the importance because as professionals, we all have a shared language and we say infant mental health and we know that we're talking about relationships between
Yeah.
babies and adults and for themselves. But I don't think a lot of our parents understand that. And we already have a lot of dads that shy away from the terms mental health because there's that sort of stigma to adult mental
Yeah.
health around. And we need to kind of emphasize, I think, that it is about relationships and it is about those positive interactions and things.
And it's not something really scary. It's the ordinary things that parents do to look after their children and understand them and get to know them in the first instance, because that's where the relationship starts, doesn't it? Right at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think um, I've been in this job now for 3 years, and a lot of the stuff that I've learned, I was doing as a dad, but now I can kind of label it and be interested in it and do more of it and find
Mm.
out exactly what's going on with it. I feel a lot more empowered in parenting terms, if you like. And I found that with a lot of the dads that I work with, um, when they can call it something and they know that this is attachment or this is skin to skin, and they can call it a name, they'll do more of it and they'll understand what it
Mm.
is, what the impact is from that as well. How did you get into the whole field of infant mental health? If that's not too personal a question.
No, it's really not, and so it depends who I'm talking to as to what kind of answer I give to this. But it's interesting because I was out with a friend walking, so socially distanced walking, I must add, um, and um, and she asked me a similar question, and what came into my mind was that actually it was my dad, who was a businessman. He worked for a pharmaceutical company, and he was interested in getting the best out of his team. So he'd started to read quite a lot of sort of psychology books, really. And he read a book called "I'm Okay, You're Okay," which is a book using transactional analysis, which is a big word, but look it up. Um, it's basically about how people relate to one another and how that sets up patterns of ways of relating in your life. And so he gave this book to me to read when I was about 14, and that really just it just made sense to me. I was really fascinated um, by what made people tick, really, and also the relationships that people had and how that gets set up by previous relationships that you've had. So your first relationship with your parents, really. So that was one of the things that influenced me. And then I went and trained as an occupational therapist. And occupational therapists are kind of all about um, trying to enable people from all different um, difficult situations to uh, kind of get back to it's a sort of rehabilitation approach to helping people to get the most out of their lives and to be able to be as independent as possible. um, and from that, just was still fascinated in what made people tick, really, and what made people different. um, and so worked in mental health services with adults and then with children, and became very interested in psychoanalytic thinking, and then kind of gradually did more and more training and retrained as a child psychotherapist. So it's a very long journey.
It's an interesting journey though. I think my journey into working where I am now probably did start with the transactional analysis and some NLP work, but not necessarily from the psychologist point of view, but from a practitioner point of view, in terms of
Yeah,
what language you can use and what pictures you can use and how you can engage with people and bring them to a subject without having to drag them to it, or if they didn't necessarily know what it was about. I
yeah.
was really interested.
I think transactional analysis has a really lovely way of being able to sort of describe something that's really quite complicated in very understandable and kind of uh, relatable to terms. And I think that that's one of the things that I think is really important about the job that I do, and the role of the early attachment service in promoting infant mental health, and working with people, is to make something that is complicated really simple and relatable to, and somehow a bit more ordinary.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that was going to be my next point. Um, how it is quite simple. The message that the information, the content that we have as that matters, and Home Start with our parent infant services, and then with you guys, um, that all the parents I've spoken to engage with it. They
Mm,
understand it when you
mm,
explain it.
mm.
They just need to understand it in terms that of what they're doing in their life and how that kind of works. What kind of what kind of work do you do? How do you meet these the parents that you work with? And I know you've got a bigger remit around sharing information as well. So how does that fit into your sort of normal life?
So one of the things that one of the commissioners said to us was that they liked the way that our service puts expertise at at the front door, and I think it is about trying to sort of help all people who come into contact with, as professionals, come into contact with parents and babies, to try and help them to make the most of the contacts that they have with parents and babies, so that they can maybe be a bit more curious, to ask a little bit more, to notice a little bit more, be a bit more observant about where things are going well and where things are going kind of a bit off kilter, or where parents are struggling. Um, so we do quite a lot of training. We do quite a lot of consultation with other professionals, and and we work closely with other professionals, because anybody can be therapeutic in terms of helping parents and babies to get to know one another. You don't have to be a therapist. You don't have to be a psychotherapist to do that. Any interaction can be therapeutic. Um, and but obviously, where things do start to go a little bit pear-shaped, or where parents are very anxious, or where parents have got mental health difficulties themselves and they're struggling, or where they've had a trauma either in their own history, in their own childhood, or um, where the pregnancy and the birth has been a trauma, um, or where they've had potentially had loss or complicated relationships, all of that can get really stirred up in pregnancy and with a new baby. A new baby comes into the world with all its passions and mess and noise, and it's bewildering for everybody. Um, so we would become involved if it was felt that a bit extra help might be needed, and most of that is about talking and observing, and we would work with parents and babies, usually together. Um, and sometimes a parent will come and say, there's something wrong with this baby, or this baby won't stop crying, or this baby won't sleep. Um, and what we would try and do is think with them about what might be what might be the matter. Um, and it might be that the matter is not about sleeping; it's about what's happening during the daytime, or it might be that it's about struggling to let go of one another in order to be able to go to sleep. It might be, of course, that there's a physical problem, a tummy ache, or um, a discomfort in another way. But we try to help support the parent to think about that, and what might be getting in the way of those things. So it might be that the parent doesn't want to separate, or is afraid that the baby won't wake up, or some really scary thoughts. And sometimes just being able to talk about them and kind of give voice to them can really just kind of break the grip and the power of that, and the relationship can be sort of freed up again.
I love the way that, and being within this job and meeting you guys, and then other parent infant specialists across the kind of the region. I love the way that the baby is in the middle of everything. There's always a baby in the room. There's always a baby in the thought.
Yeah.
Not just metaphorically. We say that a lot, that we need to keep baby in mind when we're doing the work or speaking to parents, but they're also in the process of helping parents feel better about it. I think
Uh,
that's just a fascinating piece of work.
That's right, and we do work quite hard in our service to try and sort of speak for the baby as well, which might sound a little bit crazy, but sometimes putting something into words that we think the baby might be feeling or seeing, um, that can really just give the parent a different perspective, or professional a different perspective. Um, so yeah, so it just brings the baby's perspective to life, and it's particularly relevant this week, I think. I'm sure I'm preempting you, asking me some questions about the fact that it's Infant Mental Health Awareness Week this week.
Well, it is Infant Mental Health Awareness Week. Thank you for reminding us. So we are talking about the baby's perspective. Homestar have got some videos that will be coming out later in the week around
Great,
baby, what babies are thinking and feeling at certain points
great.
in the day. And I think one of the things that we get quite a lot with dads that we speak to, um, is that they think about the baby in the context of their own day. So when bedtime is, that's because that's their bedtime as a parent.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, Dinner time is when they eat, and they can't understand why baby doesn't just fit in with those kind of routines. We do quite a lot of work around that kind of watch, wait, wonder type
yeah,
work, where just watching your baby, getting to know them, finding out the routines, being in tune with them, all that kind of stuff's really nice.
yeah,
But it does take patience, and if you're struggling, it might feel like the baby's doing it on purpose, or doing it
yeah,
because you're not doing the right thing.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think what I found really interesting is when baby's in the middle of that, and we're talking about it from baby's perspective, it lets parents off the hook, and they can feel kind of relaxed about exploring what it is baby needs, rather than feeling they have to do something and get it
yeah.
right straight away.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's difficult to imagine being a baby, even though we were all babies. It's difficult to imagine that, and I think one of the reasons it's difficult to imagine it is because um, it's it's a bit painful to actually think what it might be like for a baby who doesn't know anything, who doesn't even know what a feeling is. So, a hungry tummy might feel like a monster inside, or a kind of an explosion about to happen, or and it's not a it's there aren't words yet that can be wrapped around that, except the words that the parent gives. So when the parent is able to put something into words for the baby feels really understood, not by the words, but by the fact that the parent is really trying to see through things through their eyes and feel things for them and with them. And those are the experiences that shape the baby, so that the baby then says, "Oh, I know to expect that something nice comes if I when I have this horrible feeling, because I've had that happen before, and that's what usually happens." So that the baby gets a sort of real sense of knowing what comes next, because they've got some predictability, because the parent has been able to kind of respond. And what you said is absolutely right, that unless we help parents to be able to sort of put themselves in baby's shoes, and sort of step outside their grown-up shoes for a little while, enough to be able to do that, but stay in their grown-up shoes enough to be able to not fall apart with the baby, then then we can, they can be really, everybody can be really helped.
Oh, I love the way you talk about it. It's so nice.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
so yes, it's Infant Mental Health Week, and we are doing lots of stuff on our Facebook page. I know you guys have got quite a new Facebook.
Oh my
Page.
gosh, that's been a real steep learning curve.
Yeah, I have shared.
Shout out to Laura Brodetsky. She's done
Um,
a great job.
it looks great, and the content's been good. I've seen a couple of things this week that we've shared, and that journey from the womb. Uh,
Yeah,
that there's a video there, and talking
yeah,
about the things that babies are experiencing. I think is really really important.
yeah.
Um, why do you think um, social media? Why do you think the videos and the context on social media is a really good way of parents engaging with that?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, I think, I mean, aside from the obvious that it is sort of the way that we do kind of engage with things currently. This is a new way of kind of getting information. But it is something about it being kind of bite-sized and digestible, and not too overwhelming. And it makes me think about how that's exactly what babies need. Babies need something that's uh, they need protecting from being overwhelmed by experiences. They need sort of something that's just a little bit and then able to be digested. And I think when it comes to thinking about babies, we are that's how we need to take information in, because it's mind blowing.
Absolutely. Do you think there's any kind of excuse me benefit to it being less confrontational? I think from our point of view, we have dads that will engage with us on Facebook who
Yeah.
who would never go to a health visitor and ask the same question.
Yeah, I think it probably feels more friendly, maybe more inclusive. Um, I think when you're a new parent, even if you've had a baby before, there's a particular sort of state of mind that you're in, that makes you very sort of acutely uh, sort of sensitive, almost like, so sort of think about it in terms of being like your skin being very sensitive, like thin skinned, if you like. So everything can sort of make you worried or anxious or frightened, or uh, you know, am I getting it wrong, or what's the right way to do it? And it's I think it's a sort of heightened state that is probably quite important to be in as a new parent, because the baby needs you to be that attuned and that sort of observant and sensitive to their needs. But when you're engaging with social media, or with a professional, that the professional or the social media might just have said something in the wrong way, or been a bit clumsy, or and you can, you know, as a parent, you can really uh, take it to heart. But I think something about social media, about the immediacy of being able to engage with it, that means that you probably can ask, or you probably can say, oh, I don't agree with that, um, or I feel like that, or and that can be much easier to reach out.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point I was trying to get at. Reaching out is difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but
Because
I'm a psychotherapist, so we would say lots and lots of words to explain something that could probably be much more easily said in about three.
I think it's about the knowing that parents do feel guilty,
Yeah.
that they want to get everything right, and they
Yeah.
know that they're probably not getting it right, and knowing that it's okay that they don't get everything right. Um,
Yeah.
Being able to reach out on social media, I think, is part of that. But you need to have lots of other options in terms of how people get to your information. Uh,
Yes.
so, what kind of things have you got going on this week for Infant Mental Health Week?
Oh, so we've got a competition which we're very excited about, and previously with Infant Mental Health Awareness Week, we've had a stall on Ashton Market, where we've just kind of accosted people going past, and we've managed to get grandparents involved, and parents, and all manner of people in thinking about infants, and infant mental health, and also the well-being of the whole family. But we're not able to do that this year, so we've accelerated our um, uh, developing the Facebook page with the idea of Infant Mental Health Awareness Week in mind, so we can share all the messages. But we've also got a competition, and the competition is to win a set of cupcakes, which are, I have to say, probably the best cupcakes in the world, taste wise, but also, and I'm a connoisseur, I have to tell you. Um, and but they also have the little babies on them. So I'll deliver those to whoever the winner is, and the competition is to post on the page, or on the post, a picture of from a baby's perspective. So it can be sort of taken from, you know, closer to the floor where the baby might be, or kind of use your imagination, I suppose. But yeah, we're interested in any picture that can really help us to get inside the eyes and mind of a baby.
That sounds great. I think I might have promised to give you a T-shirt for the prize.
You have, yeah, I forgot about
So
that. Yeah, Dad
yeah,
Matters
there'll be a
t-shirt.
Dad Matters T-shirt for
Yeah,
the winner as well, which is
yeah,
great. I remember the cake. We had cakes last week for last year on the
yeah,
market.
yeah.
They were fantastic.
They
So yeah, definitely worth entering that, and we'll share that on our social media as well.
the lady that won the cakes last year um, was a grandparent, actually, um, uh, a Tameside resident. And I can't quite remember now, but I'm sure that she told me she had something like 24 grandchildren. So it just really felt like it went to the right person. I don't
Yeah,
know how she was going to share them out, though.
she didn't share them out. They
Right,
weren't being shared. She was keeping.
good. Good for her. Yeah, she's worked hard.
So obviously you've got your Facebook and there's lots of posts
Yeah,
going on there. Um, we've started with the journey through the womb. We're going to
yeah,
be talking about life from the child's perspective, and so
yeah,
for us, for when we're talking to dads, um, asking dads about when their relationship started with their babies sometimes is a bit abstract. They might think it was a lot later than it actually was.
yeah, yeah.
What would you say to those dads who think that their relationship with their newborn hasn't started yet?
Okay, so um, I I'm thinking my son will go mad if he sees this, but um, he used to play at being a daddy when he was little, which is ordinary. You know, little boys. do play at being daddies. They also play at being mummies sometimes. And um, I remember, uh, I remember on one occasion him picking up a football and saying, "Oh, baby," um, holding it in his arms and saying, "Oh, baby." Um, so I suppose what I would say is that there might be an idea of what it's like to be a daddy already around, and an idea of what it might be like to meet your baby and have a baby of your own. That's not a, it's not a predominantly female thing. That's also around for boys and men. Why would it not be? So I suppose what I'm saying is that you know, as a dad, you may already feel you have some kind of relationship to being a dad, to having a baby, and the imagined baby might be the beginning of a relationship with your real baby. Um, you know, it's that's sort of way before even conception, I guess.
I
But
love that. I absolutely love that. I
well,
hadn't thought about it like that before. It puts me in mind of a breastfeeding support health visitor in Bolton from 10 years ago. And she said that um, babies don't learn about breastfeeding when they are doing it. No, parents don't learn about it when they are doing it. In the same way that you don't learn to drive
yeah,
when you first start your lessons. And that as a 6-year-old sat in the car, you see your parents driving the car, and you know that the pedals do something, and the gear stick does something, and then the
yeah,
indicators sometimes do something. And
yeah.
you
It's
kind of,
way before you have a go yourself.
yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, it sounds like that sounds really like a really nice way of leading.
I have a story actually. Oh, my son is really going to go mad. He's got a beard as big as yours at the moment, Kieran. This is a lockdown beard. Um, but he's. I remember taking him to the park when he was little, and he'd wanted to take my daughter's little pram with her. With I think he'd got his teddy bear in it, and there were a group of teenage boys at the park, and I could see they were laughing. They were laughing at him, and uh, and he wanted to go on the swing, but they were all on the swings. So you know, so I said, oh well, the big boys are on the swings at the moment, and they were laughing away at him. And I said, you know, he's just practicing being a daddy. And their demeanor changed completely, and they were you know, they were then interested. One of them got off the swing and said, here you are, mate, come and have you come and have a go on the swing, and I'll look after your baby. And it was just a beautiful kind of moment. And I thought it was actually because it was something they could connect to.
Yeah, I think that's probably something they'd already thought about. And
Yeah,
it wasn't what they were associating with it when they were laughing.
yeah.
Oh no, that's a lovely story. He is going to kill you though.
He is going to kill me.
Is there any more embarrassing stories you'd like to get off your chest while we're live to the nation? No.
I think I might. I think I might as well quit while I'm ahead.
So is there any what's for the future of parent infant mental health? I know you guys have been around for quite a long time. Is it 13 years or 14 years this year?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the service started. It was very, very small when it started, and you know, it was Dr. Pauline Lee who had sort of the idea about how to kind of bring infant mental health to people's awareness. And yeah, we started very small. This was before I was part of the team. Um, we are now part of a wider family across Greater Manchester. Pauline is, I've stepped up to be the clinical lead of the service because Pauline is now strategically developing services across the whole of Greater Manchester. So there are a lot of kind of parent infant mental health services that are at varying stages in their development. Some are newborn and some are teething some are toddling around. And yeah, so it's great to be part of a new family because it doesn't, it's a bit like the housework, it doesn't stay done. You know, we're learning, it's a new area of understanding. You know, lots of research, lots of thinking about how what works best to help families. Um, so yeah, so we uh, um, yeah, we're learning all the time.
There's quite a few places across the UK where, oh, do you know, she walks across the picture, stuffing her face with croissants. Go and do some homework. Yeah, you will. Lockdown life.
This
Um,
is the children's revenge.
yeah, oh, absolutely. It's either that or it's 4 o'clock in the morning and the eldest is recording a new song that she's learned for uni. And then I can't tell her to stop because it's uni work, but it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Uh, but never mind. Yeah, there's quite a few places across the UK. We talk to quite a lot who are interested in what we're doing.
Yeah.
They don't have a parent-infant service, um, and a lot of people relate that to the perinatal services. So, what's your relationships like with perinatal mental health services across?
Yeah, it's growing from strength to strength, and the perinatal services across Greater Manchester are also quite new, and growing and developing. Um, so yeah, so we're building bonds. So perinatal services at the moment largely relate uh, to the parents' mental health, and so our connection with that is also to try and support them in thinking about the baby. We of course also work with parents who are struggling with their mental health. So there are massive overlaps, and we can share knowledge and skills and support one another to keep everybody safe and healthy and emotionally supported.
I found that one of the biggest motivating factors for the dads that we work with in terms of accessing other services is knowing that their child's um, brain development, that practical sort of stuff,
Yeah,
is really affected by how often they smile at them and sing
yeah,
to them
yeah,
and read to them. Um, I suppose for you guys, you're doing that on another level with a lot of parents. But
yeah.
is it a similar kind of um, way of helping parents to feel motivated about supporting their child's development?
You mean the work that we do, or
Yeah,
um, yeah, definitely. I mean, we do quite I mean, that's quite sort of psychoeducational in an approach. But yeah, I mean, it's really important to say ordinary things like that we know from research that that smiling at babies and gazing at babies and really helps them to build the connections and solidify the connections in their brains. And I would kind of also add that it isn't just about brains; it's also about minds. So how the baby develops a sense of who they are, which is you know it's got the brain aspect to it, but it's also um, the emotional aspect to it. Not that you can separate the two, um, but it's how do we know who we are? Um, we know who we are in relation to others, really. So yeah, and I think for me, as well as the brain development, that's really motivating for parents to think that they're helping a child to kind of get to know about the world and also helping them to know themselves, really.
brilliant. Last question.
Mm.
Um, so I've noticed this in my own life over the last couple of years. When I'm outside or walking around or in a public place and I see a dad doing something really positive with his baby, I really, really want to say to him, you really need to keep doing that because it's amazing. And
Yeah.
I find myself constantly finding these situations all the time. If you were only ever going to see a parent once, what would be the three things you would say to that parent that would be the most important for their infant's mental health?
Oh my goodness, that's a really hard
Three.
question.
So we're looking for something really practical that they can do more as much as possible.
um slow down, I think. And which means by which I mean I think I mean uh spend time kind of noticing. um it, Try not to worry so much. You're doing better than you think. So that's the second one. Is that allowed? I've got to.
Yeah, no,
And
that's okay, yeah.
I think the third one is talk to people, talk to other parents. It's a it's a it's a really ordinary, simple thing. I'm very fortunate to have Dilys Dawes as a supervisor, and she's a psychotherapist, child psychotherapist, who has over 50 years of experience of working with parents and babies, and she very often will say it's a really simple thing that parents need other parents. So we need our families, but we also need to talk to other parents. So I think I would say that.
That's a beautiful way to end the video. Um,
Oh,
Homestar, Dad Matters, and you guys, we are, helping
family.
parents connect parents. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
families.
Yeah, and do engage with our Facebook page, and I mean, we probably have a wider reach than Tameside, but the aim is sort of Tameside and Glossop, and to try and help parents to connect up with what's happening locally and supporting one another. But we probably do kind of reach wider, and we will always try and put you in touch with the right people to help you. Um, so do say hi.
Brilliant. Is there anything else you would like the people of Tameside, Greater Manchester, and the world to know?
Yeah, just keep thinking about things from the baby's perspective, and yeah, show us your pictures of what it's like to be a baby for
Excellent.
Infant
Yeah,
Mental Health Awareness Week.
we'll definitely get the competition shared. I've
Yeah.
got some ideas running around my head already involving cats and tins of tuna and all sorts of things. So we will.
Great.
Thank
Look
you
forward
very
to
much,
that.
Kate.
Yeah, thanks, Kieran. It's nice to talk to you.
Yeah, Andrew. We'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.